well, it is verified by the data that we have today. And there is another talk tomorrow at 2 p.m. where Robin will give you all the details about that. So enough for the benefits to public administration, to services in general. Let me move to some of the new trends in the information society. Some of the things are important. These are slides that come from an annual analysis of the IT trends done by Morgan Stanley, one of the big investment banks. This is public domain data. And what we see here that recently what we've had is a great upsurge, of course, you know, of the use of social networks, Facebook and the like. That's so much that the use of these technologies is now greater than the use of email. But more importantly, people spend more time now doing their Facebook, doing their social networking than they spent before. So what we have, greater use, more time spent on the data and the social networks. What we see here is the great uptake of iPhones and smartphones in general that have really sort of taken off an unprecedented and unexpected, not for Apple I hope, rate. So what does that tell us? People spend more time on social networks. They now have technologies that allow to use not just phone, and this is what is happening, you see in these view graphs, but people who have iPhones and other related technologies essentially now use them more for data, download and upload, than they use it for voice. So what that tells us? That tells us it's a huge market of people now using infrastructures for using and providing data. This clearly provides a platform for a whole host of innovation and new services. This is one that I thought was particularly interesting, so that when you want to rent a car, you just look up Zipcar, you find where is the nearest car, you go there, and with a message on your phone, you unlock the car and you go. Great model. Very interesting. What is more interesting as well is that all of this is, let's see if this video would work, I'm not so sure, is that increasingly people are using the example of, this should be a video here.
Queimadas devastadoras. Desmatamento impiedoso. É oficial, ao longo da história, 730 mil quilômetros quadrados da floresta amazônica já foram embora.
Okay, of course it's in Portuguese, but you got the sense. The Amazon is being destroying. The total rate now is 750,000 square kilometers. That's England, the United Kingdom and Belgium put together. What is important here, and that's why I've chosen it, that of course there has been, and this is the data that comes from INPE, the Institute for Space Research in Brazil, and from his director, Gilberto Câmara, who has the responsibility to monitor the deforestation of the Amazon. You would see it has gone through peaks of about 25,000 square kilometers per annum of deforestation. Now there has been a significant reduction, but Gilberto says we don't know why. Very interesting. So far, they had done all their sort of monitoring through the traditional means and satellites, and they report yearly to the president about deforestation in the Amazon. But what is very interesting is that this data, which is freely available and in the past was only used by scientists, has then been taken up by TV Globo, which is the largest TV network in Brazil, and they had this challenge, this bet, and say, let's see if people are really interested about the environment. We've seen before, social network, lots of use moving to data rather than voice. But what for? Yeah? Is it to find, you know, what's the nearest football score? Yes. But can we also leverage in the environment? So the Brazilians have tried that. Of course, the Amazon is a very big issue, but is it important enough for the Brazilians? So essentially, they used mashups and they used the data from INPE to put it on a platform of Globo Amazonia, and I invite you to visit. And they were expecting, and they were asking people to essentially illegal logging or burning of the Amazon. They were expecting 1 million users in a year, maybe. The result is that in 3 months they had 41 million reports. These are not clicked on a website. These are people actually taking Orkut, which is the Brazilian Facebook, and reporting what is happening in their background. And this is huge. So maybe there's another video here where somebody can click on that. No, not on that one, the big one. Because what this says is that
foram até a Floresta Nacional de Jamanchim, no estado do Pará.
A gente está numa área bem devastada e logo atrás de mim apareceu caminhão cheio de toras de madeira.
Okay, so this is a report of somebody saying, just in my backyard, they started logging and this huge truck appeared. Very important. But equally important is that the TV journalists of TV Global, then they go and follow up the story. They go and check in the field. They find the guys who are logging it and name and shame them. And unless you have that form of investigative journalism that follow up the story, then you can have a lot of people providing information, but then there's no change. Whereas with the power of televisions and the power of investigative journalists, what happened then, and here you see that's a senator in the Brazil Senate that essentially has put forward a law that has sort of made it more difficult for the rancheros, for the big farmers to log down. So real impact from both a social and political point of view. So I'm coming to the end here. I'll just say something about what are we doing at the JRC, of course, coordinating Inspire is one of the ways in which we are supporting the interoperability of all the work that is taking place in the spatial data infrastructure. Clearly, we have developed some expertise in the technical area, which is recognized at the international level. So we support a lot of our colleagues in the European Commission in the Research and Development Directorate General, who are taking the lead in the development of the global spatial system of systems. We have been doing a whole program of research to try and fill the gap in our knowledge on the socio-economic impacts. And of course, as indicated also, we need to continue to do research so that all the investments that we are putting in place now, that we are asking you to put in place to develop your infrastructures, already are open to the new developments, both from a technology point of view. We need to do that constant research to see how we can harness the power of people contributing information to better monitor the environment. How can we integrate that into the official information? So I'll just come to some conclusions. It is clear that, in a way, spatial data infrastructure are important. They do have benefits. But I think it's equally important to realize that they're not just technological artifacts. They really are social processes, both in their development and their implementation. For example, in changing the business practices in the public administration. Of course, there are technologies and solutions that could be faster, yeah? But in a way, sometimes we may be accused of being a bit too slow in the way we implement Inspire. But I think that taking that view underestimates the huge effort that is taken in developing the community, the people here. And without you, who are really sort of engaged into this process, all of that we are doing would just not happen. You could have the technologies, you can have the solutions, but unless you are involved, you sort of take place, you leverage that change in your organizations, then it's not going to happen. And this takes time. So for many years, we have been sort of kind of advocating that, sort of spatial data infrastructures are good for you, yeah? And now, however, the good news is that we start having some real evidence that the benefits exist in managing our environment, in assessing the impact, in improving citizen to citizens. They're also becoming platforms for citizens to produce and share information. The data, the imagery from INPE was freely available, but hardly anybody was using it. Putting it into other platforms has really sort of enabled a lot of more change to happen. However, it's clear that unless we continue to pose the right question, unless we continue to try and measure what is the extent of change and what is the added value of the work that we are doing, then, if we don't pose the questions, we will not get the answers. So it's important. We have seen, collecting all this data, doing this research takes time. It requires a lot of in-depth analysis. It's not done immediately, but we can do it. We have shown that it is possible to do it, and we need to continue doing it and share the findings in the community to underpin the work that we have done. And I think that with that, I've come to a conclusion. Thank you very much.